Shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elder bishops of Great Millstone. Double honors to the high priest elders that were before them. Peace and salutations to sincere brothers out there pushing this word without sincerity and in truth. It's the brother Tazamak from the Great Millstone Austin camp. And Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. All right. As brothers know, it was today, January 1st. All right. 2026. All right. The year of apostasy, apostates, sellouts, and agents named by our beloved apostle Tahar. All right. And I just want to go into this lesson real quick. All right. As I was going into this app, Chat GPT, all right, which is, very useful to get some type of information. All right. It's artificial intelligence. So in some things it might go off, but we got the truth. We filter everything. We filter everything through the scripture. All right. But Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. All right. To the house of Israel. All right. The nation, Salakia, the nation of Israel, ultimately the elect, which consists. The nation of Israel consists of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as we can see here in this 12-tribe chart. All right. Starting from Judah all the way to Issachar, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right. So let's get to it real quick. Apostates, I had put, something simple. I'm not going to really go through this all, but I just want to get the meaning. All right. And it says, I put apostates in scriptures breakdown. He put, here's a clear Bible-based breakdown of apostates, what the scriptures mean when they speak of people departing from the faith. It says, what is an apostate? Apostasy means a falling away, departure, or turning back from the Most High after previously knowing or professing loyalty to him. Key word roots. It says in the Hebrew, I'm not going to, don't even know if that's correct. Let's get the Greek. It says apostasia, departure, rebellion. So an apostate is someone who was once aligned themselves with the Most High and his truth, but later rejects or abandons it. All right. And there's been many examples. All right. Where brothers have fallen out, departed from the faith, renounced their faith. Right. So let's get some scriptures real quick. I just wanted to use that just to go into what apostate means, the apostasy. All right, because when you come into this, let's get 2 Timothy chapter 2. We're going to read some in the NLT and some in the KJV. NLT is more explainable, more understandable in the English. All right, the KJV is an Old English. All right, so some of the words are harder to pronounce and to understand. So it says, 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 1, it says, a good soldier of Mashiach Yahweh Shai, all right, who this world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. It says, let me see, let's start off. And let's read to it real quick. Timothy, my dear son, be strong through the grace that the Most High gives you in Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. You have heard me teach things that have been confirmed by many reliable witnesses. Now teach these truths to the other trustworthy people who will be able to pass them onto others. It says, endure suffering along with me as a good soldier of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. In the KJV it says, thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. So we're going to endure hardness, right? Right away, it tells you that this ain't something easy that anybody can come in and walk into, participate into. All right, this was Apostle Paul ultimately speaking to Timothy. All right, which he claimed it was his son in the faith. Right? But he tells him, now therefore endure hardness, endure hard trials as a good soldier. All right. Verse 4, it says, no man that warreth entangled himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who hath chosen him to be a soldier. Let's get it in the NLT. It says soldiers don't get tied up in the affairs of civilian life, for then they cannot please the officer who enlisted them. All right, so when you come, all right, in this faith, in this truth, okay, it's only going to get tougher. All right, but going back to verse 4, it says, no man that warreth entangled himself with the affairs of this life. So you can't be double-minded. You can't have the like it says, the affairs of the civilian life. You cannot tie yourself into that, because then it says you cannot please the officer who enlisted you, which is Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right, verse 5, and if a man also strives for masteries, yet is he not crowned, except he strive lawfully. It says, and athletes can, in the NLT, and athletes cannot win the prize unless they follow the rules. All right, so going back to verse 4, no man that warreth entangled himself with the affairs of this life. So let's say you out and about in a war scenario. You're with soldiers around you, and then you come, thinking about certain things of the civilian life, certain things that certain maybe people might be doing. You start worrying, you start entangling yourself with the affairs of this life. And you cannot do that, because you're going to get killed in the scenario of war. All right. You have to be locked in and rooted, because it says in verse 3, soldiers don't get tied up in the affairs of civilian life, because if they do, what would happen? That would be a big distraction. And next thing you know, you get sent back to the spirit world, because you were entangling yourself with the affairs of this life. All right. So soldiers don't get tied up in the affairs of civilian life, for then they cannot please the officer who enlisted them. You can't please Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai if you're still worried about the affairs of this life. Okay. Let's get Salakia. Give me a sec. Let's get Mark 4 real quick. All right, because this parable of the farmer scattering seed, it tells you that some of these let me see. Let me get to it. Okay, let's start off in verse 14. Verse 13, this was Yahweh Shai speaking a parable. It says, and he said unto them, know ye not this parable? And how then will you know all parables? The sower soweth the word. And these are they by the wayside, where the word is sown. But when they have heard, Satan cometh immediately and taketh away the word that was sown in their hearts. All right. So ultimately, this is going about the parable of the farmer scattering seed. All right. The ones ultimately that have heard this truth. And it's a parable because it tells you that some didn't endure. Some were worried. Some gave up the faith, or gave up when trials came through. But let's get it. Verse 20 tells you, and these are they which are sown on good ground, such as hear the word and receive it and bring forth fruit. Some 30-fold, some 60, and some 100. So let's get I'm gonna come back to Mark 4, but I want to get a precept real quick. This is St. John 15 and 16. It says, ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you that you should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatever you shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it to you. Okay, so the Lord has not chosen us ultimately, but I have chosen you and ordained you that you should go and bring forth fruit and that your fruit should remain. All right. You see, that ties in with verse 20 in Mark 4, the ones that were ordained and received the word and brought forth fruit, some 30-fold, some 60, and some 100. But it tells you some, because it ties in with what I'm bringing in this lesson, the apostates, the apostasy. Okay, it says, and these are they likewise which are sown onto stony ground, who when they have heard the word immediately receive it with gladness, and have no root in themselves, and so endure but for a time. Afterward, when affliction or persecution ariseth for the word's sake, immediately they are offended. And these are they which are sown among thorns, such as hear the word, and the cares of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches, and the lust of the others things entering in, choke the word, and it become unfruitful. All right, so they were worried about the what? The affairs of this life, the riches of this life, right? Let's get it in the NLT. It says, the seed on the rocky soil represents those who hear the message and immediately receive it with joy. But since they don't have deep roots, they don't last long. They fall away as soon as they have problems or are persecuted for believing God, the Most High's word. The seed that fell among the thorn represents others who hear the Most High's word, but all too quickly the message is crowded out by the worries of this life, the lure of wealth, and the desire for other things, so no fruit is produced. You see? So you can't entangle yourself with the affairs of this life, right? That's why the scriptures in St. Matthew chapter 6 and verse 19, it tells you, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourself treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So point is, you can't lay your treasures up upon here on earth because it's corrupted. It says where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. You see, some fall away for the certain riches, and they want to build treasures upon here on earth, but not knowing that thieves can break in and steal. It says, but lay up for yourself treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. And how do you do that? How do you lay up for yourself treasures in heaven? By doing the work, by doing your videos, lessons, being a good example in the ministry, in your camp, preaching the word. You're laying yourself treasures up in heaven by putting in work that's going to please Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right? Not stuff that the earth, the riches, the wealth, where thieves can break in and steal all your treasures that you're laying upon here on earth. All right? It's ultimately going to get destroyed. Okay? Let's get Mark 24 and you know what? St. Matthew 22 and 14. It says, for many are called, but few are chosen. Okay? Many are called, but few are chosen. Many, the parable of the scattering of the seed, the sower. All right, many were called, but if only a few are chosen. All right, because not all of them are going to endure unto the end, as St. Matthew chapter 24 and 13 tells you, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Let's get Acts 14 real quick and 22, because it tells you, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. So, point is, there's so like, give me a sec. My phone is buffering. Come on. Okay. Point is that, as you know, it says right here, we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. It's confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith. You got to continue in the faith, man. And that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. All right, because that's the time we are in. Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, his kingdom is going down, but he's coming down with great wrath. All right, we're going to have to endure a lot, endure hardness, as started this lesson, 2 Timothy chapter 2. It says, thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahushai Hamashiach. Endure the suffering as you know, Yahushai suffered too. All right, so Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I just wanted to get into certain precepts, right, of how we must endure all the stuff Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is going to put forward into our lives. We got to keep pushing in the faith and enduring hardness as a good soldier. All right, because many are called, but a few are chosen. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, elder bishops of Great Millstone. Until the next one, Shalom.